It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie Yo 297. Day in the neighborhood, my brothers and sisters. Once again, y'all, it is time to get into another one of these true crime, horror, dark, deep, and mysterious, what the is going on type of videos. And we're going to a channel today, y'all, that I'm pretty much caught up on his most recent videos. But I've been watching like his past videos like from months and years ago, because I just subscribed to his channel probably like 5 months ago, but he got videos that stretch back for years. So I've been watching a couple of them, and then I thought to myself, hey, let me and my brothers and sisters watch one together, you know what I'm saying? So that's what we're gonna do today. And that channel is Evil Intentions. Evil Intentions, y'all. And check the title of this video out. Dancer is fed to the homeless. The Monica Burles story. Fed to the homeless. Like, that's just the only part of that title that just, you just read that part and it's just like, what the fuck is going on type of video. You know what I'm saying? Like, main thing I'm trying to figure out for real, y'all, is it seemed like someone killed this dancer and then they cooked the body or something and fed it to the homeless, you know what I'm saying? But why would they do that? Just for shits and giggles? You know what I'm saying? What was the purpose of them feeding to the homeless? Now, I'm thinking also that the homeless people didn't know that they was actually eating human meat. You know what I'm saying? I hope they didn't, because if they did know they was eating human meat, now that's just gonna take the story to a whole nother what is going on type of level. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know, man. I do not know, my brothers and sisters. I'm just ready to get into it. But before we get into it, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you might need. Get what you need. We back to Evil Intentions. Y'all got what y'all need? Y'all ready to go? Then let's fucking go.
New York City's Lower East Side in the 1980s was a whole different world altogether. Known as one of New York City's oldest neighborhoods, the area would undergo massive changes over the last 40 years. But exactly how different was the Lower East Side from the one that you know today? The Lower East Side is comprised of some of the following areas: Chinatown, the Bowery, Alphabet City, Little Italy, and Two Bridges. While the Lower East Side, also known as the LES, is known for its Jewish history in the early 1900s, it wasn't until the 1960s that the Lower East Side would begin to develop into the Lower East Side that many speak so fondly of today. A place rich for culture and a mix of different people from different parts of the world. Despite the heavy crime, drugs, homelessness, and the landlord-driven fires that would bring abandoned buildings to the ground, the area would begin to draw residents who were musicians and artists, among other things. By the time the mid-70s rolled around, the Lower East Side was known as its own place with its own identity, separate from that of the greater New York City. Known as a central hub for all things creative, the Lower East Side became home to the sounds of hardcore punk and other forms of entertainment. But the hardcore scene would come with a message, and they delivered it loudly. Residents from all over the city would come to the Lower East Side and witness acts like Cro-Mags, Bad Brains, Black Flag, and many others. All while the scene would change the landscape of heavy, aggressive music forever. Venues like CBGB and the Peppermint Lounge were filled with avid listeners who all came from similar tribes. Aside from the hardcore scene, you had individuals who just wanted to fit in with people they could connect with and who might be in the same boat as they were. Maybe just trying to get by, or maybe chasing a dream. The area already built up a reputation for some of the reasons already mentioned, and on August 6 of 1988, the Tompkins Square Park riots would further strengthen the idea that the Lower East Side wasn't just any other neighborhood and not for the faint of heart. Violence erupted between civilians and officers. Some officers covered their shields to avoid being identified. Many were hurt, and some of those attacked by the cops had nothing to do with the riot.
Damn.
They were just walking through the area or sitting on their front stoops of their apartment buildings. All this was, of course, before the Lower East Side would become notoriously gentrified. The area was slowly but surely being cemented into history, but
Hey, I gotta say real quick, y'all. I was having a random thought while Jose, Evil Intention, he was showing all that different videos of back in the day, back in the 70s and 80s. I just had a thought in my mind like, man, I wish I was a time traveler. Or I wish I could get in a time machine or something and just visit different times throughout the decades and stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? I just want to go back and live in that moment because it's the same society. Well, it's really not even the same society, but it's still Earth and we still humans, but that time just so much different than what we in now in 2023. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's a random thought, but if I had a time machine, if I can go back to the early 90s and the 80s and the 70s and just, mingle and see what was going on just to live that life for a day or two, I would do it, man. But let's keep going.
not everyone who came out here to chase a dream was so lucky. Some were caught in the web of New York City's dark underbelly with no way to escape it. Today, on Evil Intentions, the story of Monica Beale.
Get whatever you may need.
Monica Beale was a 26-year-old dancer from Switzerland. She was raised in the city of St. Gallen, a city with a population of only about 70 to 80,000 people when she was being raised in the 60s. This particular city, well known for having the most beautiful medieval castles in the world, known for its ski resorts, the Abbey Library of St. Gall, which houses the oldest collection of literature in Switzerland, and the Natural History Museum of St. Gallen, just to name a few. Monica had plans of coming to the big city and chasing her dreams of being a dancer. She received a certificate for teaching and choreography from the Juice Leader School of Dance at Darrington Hall in Devon. She was described as an energetic spirit who always wanted to push her life and her art to the limits. And in 1985, after receiving a scholarship from the Swiss government, Beale would make her way to New York City. While in New York City, Monica would put her scholarship to good use and attended the Martha Graham School of Contemporary Dance. She attended 2 to 3 classes a day. She enrolled in school in 1985, but left back to Switzerland in 1987 to tend to her ailing mother and to do a tour of her own dance routines. She toured in 8 different cities, places like Zurich, Lucerne, and Basel. She was deeply talented, according to Alison Sherman, a spokeswoman for the Martha Graham School. To make a living, Monica would start dancing at go-go bars on Times Square, back when sex shops and sex workers on the street was routine. Among the places she danced was Billy's Topless, located on 24th Street in New York City's Chelsea neighborhood.
And that's where she done fucked up at, y'all. She was doing good with her dancing, you know what I'm saying? Was really making it a profession where she can make legal, legitimate money off without the negativity behind it. But now she gone pretty much, let's just be honest about it, she going to damn titty bars dancing. And that's why I just feel like whatever happened to her, that was the first part where she fucked up at. Not really blaming her. I don't want to blame. I'm not saying that she was so wrong about it. But I just feel like that's the part where she was on the right path and then she kind of veered that way. You know what I'm saying? And got involved with people she should have never been involved with.
A small location that resembled more of a bar rather than a strip club. Billy's only contained a small bar and a little over 20 chairs that would surround the stage. A modest establishment, but enough for Monica to keep financially stable. She was very close to her family and spent a lot of time talking about them. Her family and the art of dance were the two things that Monica truly couldn't live without. She was focused and nothing could get in her way. In the summer of 1989, Monica would find herself down in the Lower East Side, a place she frequented often where she would meet with friends and pass by to purchase marijuana. She also lived there. At the time, she was living by herself at 171 Avenue B after leaving her old apartment at 93 Orchard Street. This is where she met Daniel Rakowitz, a traveling hippie, marijuana enthusiast, and part-time drug dealer from Edna, Texas, also the son of a Texas deputy sheriff. Rakowitz was described as a troubled soul who had his first brush with grief at an early age, witnessing his mother suffer a fatal heart attack in a hotel room.
Damn.
His father would later marry Rakowitz's aunt, the sister of his deceased wife, but this too would come to an end. Over the years, loved ones of Daniel would mention his darker moments as a teenager, becoming addicted to drugs. He would make...
Hold on, y'all, because I don't know if y'all caught that, but we gotta say something about this real quick. Did I just hear that this man, daddy, his mama died, and his daddy ended up marrying his mama's sister? That right there will fuck me up. That's enough to fuck me up. Are you kidding me? My mama dead and now my mama's sister and my daddy together? What the fuck? My auntie and now my dad. Oh my God, bro. That's crazy.
Make his way from Texas to Missouri, and finally to New York City's Lower East Side. There, he earned the nickname Chicken Man. People of the area recall Rakowitz having a pet rooster and sometimes walking through the park with a dead chicken wrapped around his neck. Rakowitz earned his money as a dishwasher and worked odd jobs while he couch surfed over the years, trying to find stability. He finally found his footing and began staying at 700 East 9th Street, just a few blocks away from the park. On the front door to the apartment was written, "Welcome to Charlie Gein's Spawn Ranch East," a combination of the names Ed Gein and Charles Manson.
Wow.
When the two met, they shared a joint and discussed living in the city. Monica was looking for a bigger place when Daniel suggested that she move into the apartment with him and the others that were also residing there. She could afford it and it gave her the chance to have a better space. She accepted and the two celebrated over a few more joints. She also paid off Daniel's back rent so that he was all caught up and he wouldn't get thrown out. Daniel had fears of becoming homeless again and dreaded the idea. When he had chances to earn income, he would visit a slaughterhouse and buy chickens, sometimes 20 at a time, slaughter them and cook them up in a soup. Then he would take that soup or whatever he cooked and pass it out to the homeless men, women, and children at Tompkins Square Park. If he couldn't earn the money, he would go to a nearby supermarket and ask for change, and use that to buy ingredients for food. He knew what it was like to be homeless, and although it wasn't a place to rest their head, the inhabitants of Tent City would appreciate his kind gestures. Tent City was what they named Tompkins Square Park. The first week of August 1989, Monica's belongings showed up to the apartment and the move was underway. According to a friend who also lived at the residence, a woman by the name of Sylvia, Daniel prepared for Monica's arrival in a way she hadn't seen before. He had cleaned up the home in tip-top shape so that her arrival was as comfortable as possible. And on one occasion, Sylvia came home and found herself knocking to get in when Daniel took a while to answer. When he did, he was adjusting his zipper and pants and said that he was busy. He would go on to introduce Sylvia to Monica and explain that she would be moving in and taking over the lease. The next day, Sylvia and Monica had a conversation, and Sylvia decided to ask Monica about her and Daniel's relationship, since everything was moving so fast, and Daniel was never known to have women in the home. I asked her the next day because I thought Daniel was playing a joke. I said, "Daniel told me he went with you." Monica's reply, "He did." A short, serious response. The two had a brief sexual relationship that lasted just a few weeks. During that time, Sylvia would tell Daniel that Monica's affection for him was only as real as her desire to grab the apartment from under him, now that the rental was under her name. Daniel, in denial that he was being used, responded defensively, "No, but she cares about me, and she wants to live with me, and she wants to be my roommate." Sylvia's response, "Daniel, she wants the apartment, and she's gonna take the apartment right from underneath you. She's gonna have the lease in her name, and once it's in her name, she's gonna throw you out. And I ain't gonna be here anymore. and there's nothing I can say when the lease is changed over.
Do y'all believe Sylvia? You know what I'm saying? Do she got a point? I feel like I ain't gonna say she got a like 100% valid point, but it do raise the question, is Monica really moving in with this dude to, build something together, or this just an easy way for her to get somewhere to stay and she gonna kick him out? I don't know, but if this man end up killing Monica because of what Sylvia telling him, then Sylvia need to take some charges too. Yeah, I don't know, man. But let's see. Let's just see.
So if she throws you out, you're out, and you're homeless again. Daniel responded that he loved Monica. Nothing could change his mind. While Daniel was falling in love, Monica didn't feel the same for Daniel. She broke off the sexual part of their relationship almost immediately and began inviting other men to the apartment. On one occasion, she invited a Jamaican man to spend the night with her. Daniel would later tell Sylvia she had a black man in there. She would go on to say that he looked hurt and seemed to be very upset at this. This was because Daniel had a deep and sometimes well-hidden distaste for anyone who wasn't white, and also wasn't fond of the gay community. So while he may be pictured with people from all walks of life, he didn't exactly see them as equals. His hatred ran deep. Rakowitz would often begin ranting and talking about how he was God. He even started what was believed to be his own religion/cult, which he coined the Church of 966. He would talk about animal sacrifice, and it was believed that sometime before, Rakowitz had even decapitated a dog that he owned. He would talk about being placed in psychiatric wards at a young age and being forced to take Ritalin from the ages 9 to 11. According to him, he was bullied by other kids, being beaten and spat on. If he defended himself, he would get beat worse by his father. As the days went on and Rakowitz, who Monica barely knew, became more and more strange, her friends urged her to get him out of the home, since he was always saying something that they just couldn't understand. His constant rants about the government and being God didn't sit well with others, and having Church of 966 written on the walls in chicken's blood definitely didn't help. Daniel pleaded and begged in every single way that he could to get back into Monica's good graces. He tried changing her mind, but her mind was already made up. Daniel needed to go. He began to understand the severity of his living situation, and his worst fears began to creep back into his head. He would be homeless again, and all his good deeds would be forgotten. His nights of watching television hours on end, a habit he'd picked up since finally settling in a home, were close to coming to an end. I'm gonna kill her. No, I love her. I'm not gonna kill her. Those are the alarming words that exited Daniel's mouth when it became clear that he would find himself on the street again. The others who lived in the apartment at the time didn't take Daniel's plan serious. He said so much in the past that this just seemed like another crazy thing he said. On August 12th of 1989, Sylvia would flat out tell Monica what Daniel had been saying. When learning about Daniel's violent plan for her, she would laugh, walk up to Daniel in front of Sylvia, and simply say, "I'll kill you first."
Okay, Monica, you tripping. Monica tripping from the beginning. And see, this is why you shouldn't fucking play with people's emotions and shit like this. This story perfect to summarize that up. Because even though, and yeah, it answered my question from earlier. Yeah, she was just using this man to get into his apartment and kick him out. Basically, because soon as she moved in that bitch, she started fucking other men. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't really in love with this man. But you gotta watch who you be doing shit like this to and manipulating and doing wrong to. Because some people out here crazy. And when you do them like that, they gonna do some crazy shit back to your ass. And then but she think it's a joke. She don't think that man crazy for real. And this man is off his fucking rocker. Like, this dude is, like, all this shit he done been through in his life and everything he been doing and all that. This man is crazy as fuck, man. Let's go.
About a week later, Rakowitz had been walking Sylvia to a nearby PATH train and explained that he couldn't take Monica anymore. He was going to kill her the next day, and he wanted Sylvia to come back and help him dispose of the body. Sylvia, of course, wanted no parts of this and told him that he was crazy for even thinking that she would assist. She paid it no mind and she went about her business, not returning to the city until that Saturday. When she returned, she stared up at the window of Monica's apartment and saw that the lights were out. This was unusual since there was normally someone home. She could feel that something was terribly wrong. Despite her gut feelings, she she pushed them aside and went upstairs anyway. As she walked up to the stairs, she could hear that Daniel's TV was powered on with the volume at full blast. She opened the door and could see Daniel's TV on the kitchen counter, the area dimly lit by the television. She checked her old room to make sure that her old belongings were in good shape, but noticed that Monica's door was closed. She knocked, but there was no answer. When she returned to the kitchen, this time entering, not just seeing it from a distance, she noticed a big pot on the stove, and inside the pot was the head of Monica Beale.
Oh!
The head was burnt and the eyes were shut. Shocked by the finding, Sylvia made her way to the bathroom. She stood right outside of it and looked in. What she saw turned her stomach and the reality finally set in. Rakowitz had really done it. She saw Monica's ribcage lying in the bathtub, with all the skin and flesh torn from the bone. Surrounding the upper torso were Monica's guts submerged in her own blood. Sylvia immediately left the apartment and ran to a nearby phone booth on Avenue A, and she called Daniel's beeper. When he returned the call, she would ask, "Daniel, you did it?" His response, "You saw it, Sylvia? I'm sorry you had to see it, but I had to do it." The two met at Tompkins Square Park, where he continued to apologize for what she had seen and further explain what had happened. Daniel went on to explain that he wasn't alone when he committed the murder. He was with a friend from a satanic church in the Brooklyn section of New York. Monica had told Rakowitz that he had to leave the apartment by the next day. If he refused to leave, her friend with a pit bull would be arriving to help her force him out. She went back to her room and Daniel's friend would ask, "What? You haven't killed her yet?" Monica came back out and began to yell at his friend, since she wasn't fond of Daniel or the company he kept. As she walked away, turning her back to walk toward her bedroom, Daniel grabbed an extension cord and wrapped it around Monica's neck, violently pulling her toward him, and then grabbing her by the throat with his bare hands. He began to strangle the 26-year-old dancer until her body no longer moved. Monica tried her best to fight Daniel off, scratching him up and down his arms. After choking Monica to death, he stomped on her head about 10 times and then stabbed her more than 30 times. He would go on to cut off her head, cut off her arms and legs, and left her remains in the blood-soaked tub while he figured out what to do next. Rakowitz then used a solid steel pole to break her bones, followed by a 13-inch carving knife to cut up her body into small pieces. He then began flushing her remains down the toilet and saved some in the fridge. He would then consume parts of her body over the next 10 days. After that, Monica's remains began to badly decompose in the late summer heat. This prompted Daniel to begin removing the rest of the skin and flesh from the body. He then began bleaching her bones and skull to rid it of any lingering smells. As if those details aren't horrific enough, rumors began to circulate that Daniel had boiled Monica's head and flesh, made her remains into a soup that he would then pass out to the homeless people in Tompkins Square Park. He had done this many times before, only this time, anyone in Tompkins Square Park who had accepted Daniel's kind gesture could now consider themselves cannibals. He told Sylvia, who at this time hadn't said anything out of pure fear, that he would be cleaning up the scene so that she could return to the home one day for a visit. She dropped by and Monica's skull was still in the apartment, this time resembling that of an anatomical skull used in classrooms.
Oh, we gotta stop it right now because Sylvia, like, bro, like I said earlier, man, I don't know if you can charge her because I guess she was telling Daniel the truth though about back when she was telling him, hey, this lady gonna try to move in here, she gonna kick you out and do all this. She was right about that, but she complicit. Is complicit the right word? She know what this man did and ain't went to the police and told. You know what I'm saying? I feel like she gotta be charged with something. Like, I feel like anybody, I don't know, but I guess because people get away with not snitching all the time. I mean, damn near every murder that we come across, it be people who know about it but don't tell nobody. So I guess she can't be charged. But goddamn, man, you know this man in here doing all this shit to this lady body after she deceased, and you ain't gonna tell nobody? That's some crazy shit.
Whenever he would recall Monica and get angry, he would spit on Monica's skull and say, "Well, hey, bitch, at least you always have a home. She looks more beautiful now than she ever did." After cleaning the apartment for hours and leaving it free of any evidence, Rakowitz then took a bucket containing Monica's skull, bones, and kitty litter to absorb any lingering smell. The bucket was then transported to the baggage check facility at the Port Authority bus terminal. He placed it in a storage locker where nobody could find it. It would be a month before authorities began to pursue any leads in Monica's disappearance. This was due to her not appearing for classes and not returning any calls from back home. This was very unusual for Monica. On top of this, Daniel had began to talk about Monica's brutal murder and dismemberment to anybody who would listen. Information quickly spread, and it became apparent that this was no longer some Lower East Side urban legend. Even the claims that were believed to be exaggerated, like the claims of Monica's remains being turned into a soup and given to the homeless for dinner, were confirmed. They were confirmed when a man who lived in Tompkins Square Park testified that when eating the soup, he found a knuckle floating among the vegetables and potatoes. Rakowitz also claimed to have tasted her brains and thinking it tasted, quote-unquote, pretty good. He told numerous people he had eaten Monica's remains more than once, despite recanting his claims later on. Rakowitz had told everyone and anyone about the murder before and after he committed it. As shocking and sadistic as the bloody scene was, there was no question. Rakowitz had officially gone off the deep end. On Monday, September 18th, detectives visited the home on 9th Street and found Sylvia there. They told her they knew what happened from a neighbor and from another member of the household, a man by the name of Sean. This, of course, was a lie. The cops knew nothing and used this tactic as a way to draw information from Sylvia, who told them everything they wanted to know. After the arrest, Daniel was brought into custody where he confessed to the brutal execution and dismemberment of Monica Beale. On February of 1991, Daniel Rakowitz was found not guilty by reason of insanity.
What?
He was then moved to a state hospital for the criminally insane, where he still resides to this day. That friend he had mentioned earlier on, a man by the name of Randy Charles Easterday, was nabbed in February of 1992 for taking part in the murder, but was released shortly after since the district attorney didn't have enough evidence to hold him. Rest in peace, Monica Beale. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching today's video. This particular story is a crazy one for me because that's an area I'm very familiar with. Spent a lot of time there in my youth, playing shows, went to school in the area. Being around older people, I'd sometimes had heard about these kinds of stories, but you hear it in passing and it's not something that you take very serious. You think it's just people talking about these urban myths. But sure enough, I started doing this type of content, and what do I come across? This case, automatically get flashbacks thinking back to all the stuff I'd heard before. Now, what do you guys think? Do you think you'd be able to keep this type of secret? Do you think you'd be able to be around a friend who committed this type of crime and keep it to yourself? Would it be more because you feel you have a loyalty to them, or would it be more because you're just fearful? I'm going to say that for a lot of people, it would be the latter. Now, this is something I should start saying in the beginning of my videos, but if you're a new viewer, please feel free to like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification just so you can see when my new content goes up. The algorithm can be quite tricky. Of course, if you're just passing through, that's okay too. I appreciate every view. I appreciate all you guys who support. Now, friends, always remember, keep a tight circle, mind your surroundings, and don't be so quick to trust those you just met, because you never know who around you might have evil intentions.
That's true. You don't be so quick to trust everybody. That's what I was saying earlier, man, because you never know who around you might have evil intentions. But no, man, fuck that. Y'all know exactly where I'm going, where my thoughts at right now. This man never went to prison for this fucking murder. This man went to the crazy house. I'm so tired of this pleading insanity, and then they was found insane, so they can't go sit in prison. They get to go to the crazy house. Like, no, bro. That man should have been, if anybody should have been death penalty, it should have been him. Because all this shit he did to this lady is ridiculous. After she was deceased. Cutting her body up, he eating her body, he feeding her body to the damn poor, the homeless in the damn place. He fucking leaving the knuckle in the soup. I ain't even trying to be funny, but just think about how crazy this shit is, man. What this man did to this lady body. He eating her brains and talking about it tastes pretty good, telling everybody about it and all. Bro, this man was so fucking brutal with this. This was just horrible. Cutting her body up, leaving it in the tub. All this crate, putting it in a bucket, then taking it and putting it in a locker, sealing it up with cat litter. This was just crazy, man. This was crazy, man. And one thing I can say, if anybody is insane, it is him for doing all this shit. I just don't believe in that charging people with the insane. I mean, you know what I'm saying they was insane, that's why they killed. No, I feel like that shit an excuse. Oh, they was crazy, so it's okay for them to kill people. Or we not gonna punish them like we would the other person. No, everybody get the same damn punishment, crazy or not. I don't want to hear that shit. The last thing I'll just say, y'all, just keep y'all just reminded, man. Like, bro, that lady, Monica, I don't think she was really threatened by Daniel like that. She never thought that man would actually fucking kill him. Even though he said it numerous times, and friends was telling her that he was saying this shit, and you know what I'm saying? And she kind of knew that this man was crazy, and she had manipulated him and did him wrong and finessed him or whatever may have you. You know what I'm saying? But she still never thought that man would actually kill her. Let alone what he did to her body after she was dead. But she never thought he would take her life. And I'm saying all this just to say, because I know it's a lot of times where we be meeting a lot of people in our life and we think that they won't actually take it to that level. You know what I'm saying? Oh, he ain't gonna do that. He ain't that serious. He ain't that crazy. He won't do that to me. She won't do that. She ain't that crazy. Shit me. Some of these motherfuckers out here is really that crazy and really will kill your ass. So just be safe, my brothers and sisters, man. That's all I gotta say. Long story short, short story long. And I digress. Appreciate y'all coming, man. This was a great video from Evil Intentions. We most definitely will be back to Jose Ortiz real soon. And until I see y'all tomorrow, my brothers and sisters, because we got an exciting video to get into tomorrow. He dropping it today, and we're going to check it out tomorrow. But until then, my friends, y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. I don't know why I'm doing all this, but make sure you comment, subscribe, and do all that for me. And remember this. Love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.